Told you to holler at them so y'all can set it off on your hunger pains. Okay, so I thank you, Tisha, for letting me know that you could not hear me. So I had to make an adjustment. So I apologize for the technical difficulty that I wasn't even aware that was going on. So thank you out there, Tisha, for letting me know that. And of course, Tisha C is the star of A Show Divided right here on the Shakeback Media Group. We just wrapped up season 1, and she's got some other things in the mix, or I've got some other things in the mix for her. So that will be unveiling as well pretty soon. Okay. Yeah, so in the first segment we did go through the good, the bad, and the ugly. The good is everything that baseball, Major League Baseball, has changed up over the past couple years, in differentiating from this year to the past several years, really. Most notably the pitch clock, most notably no more shift. And I was actually doing a little research during the break because unfortunately for the SBMG at this moment in time, we can't have a hashtag himbo. Of course, he's with ESPN, but he does follow me on Twitter. And let me get off this for just a second. Speaking of Twitter, I have just been followed by John Cena on Twitter. I was like, what? So now, that's a few people out there, man, that's got multi-millions in followers that actually follow us here on the Shakeback Media Group. I thought that was pretty cool. So I actually had to put a little something together, and I don't know if he saw it or not. Don't know if he ever will see it. I know he won't see it if I don't put it out there. So maybe he will, maybe he won't. But I actually did a little reply to him and said, hey, yo, man, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that, homie. But yeah, so let's get back to the good and what we were talking about in terms of how baseball and its progressiveness has really moved the sport forward, in my opinion, and many people's opinions for that matter. And I want to go most notably to the shift. The shift is basically this. At the time of pitches thrown, all 4 infielders are now required to be on the infield dirt or the infield grass, with 2 on each side of second base. Remember, you would have 4 infielders on one side of second base, or depending on if there was a left-handed bat or right-handed bat. So players will be able to move as soon as the ball leaves the pitcher's hand. Originally, infielders who began the game on one side of the field would not be allowed to switch to the other side for the entirety of the game. So what does this exactly? What does this mean? And what was their hope in getting this? Well, I'll tell you, because last year in 2022, the league batting average as a whole was 243. That is the lowest since 1968. So it was time for them to do something. Also, there was a lack of singles, particularly in the heart of the decline. 5.33 per team in 2023. That's the 3rd lowest in Major League Baseball history. So change had to be made. And I was talking with my girl earlier, my homie, the star of A Show Divided, and we were talking about change and how most people hate change. I can say that I'm one of them. But then we started talking about progression and change. And people can be progressive, or let me put it this way. It's hard for people to be progressive without change. You cannot change, or you cannot be progressive without changing. Change is the catalyst for progression. So this is what I was talking about earlier in the first segment about being a purist, and the good and the bad and the ugly. Because the good is everything that I just mentioned to you guys about the rule changes, the shift, and what it's designed to do, and what Major League Baseball is hoping to accomplish. All that is good, actually is great. But again, you still have some purists out there that's like, yo, we don't want to see any of this. But here's the thing. You just heard the dismal and the abysmal numbers that I talked about in what baseball had become. And to bring it back to where it was, I'm not even talking about the performance enhancing drug era. That's not what this is about. What it is about is baseball finally understanding that there was something wrong with our sport and we need to fix it. And they have done just that. Now, if they could just do something about the horrific balls and strikes calls behind the dish, then that would be perfect. And there's actually something in the mix where they may be doing that. They may be taking that away from the umpires. You already see it on the screen whenever you have the K zone. Of course, that's the strikeout zone. And that K zone is very, very, very accurate. And something else that I like that baseball has actually put into place where when the ball crosses the dish, it tells you what type of pitch it is. Slider, forkball, curveball, four-seamer, two-seamer, whatever it is, curveball, changeup, whatever it is, it'll tell you what that pitch is along with being able to tell you whether it's a strike or not. And a lot of times, the umpires are accurate. They're accurate from the games that I've watched. They've been accurate. Sometimes the ball is on the bottom half, or actually, I should say the bottom of the zone, and they'll miss it. Or it might be on the inside corner of the zone, and they'll miss it, and vice versa on the other side. But for the most part, the K zone is doing what it's supposed to do. So what happens if the K zone, it's like going to Kroger or Walmart or whatever your favorite grocery retailer is. You go to one of those establishments and you see an absence of cashiers because now they have the do-it-yourself lines in which now you just have to go through there and you have to bag your own stuff, whatever the case may be. So now this is what this looks like to me for Major League Baseball. It is a self-service zone, if you will, and for the lack of a better term, because now they have the ability to have whatever it's going to be called and whatever it's going to do to call those balls and strikes. Now, that's not to say that the umpires won't be needed, because of course they're going to be needed. They're going to be needed for authority. They're going to be needed to enforce the rules. They're going to be needed to at home plate, which is still to me one of the more exciting plays in all of sports. When you have a rally from either the outfield all the way home, or you have an assist from the outfield all the way home, or if you have a relay from the outfield to one of the infielders and then to home, and then you have a guy that's barreling around third base to try to come in and score. Now, of course, they did take away where you can't just run over the catcher, but still, that still to me is one of the more exciting plays in sports. And the umpires will still be needed for that. So what I'm saying to baseball is you get a hand clap. You get a huge hand clap. And for the haters and the purists out there that refuse to change with the times, you're going to get left behind, because baseball is not going to stop. No matter what has happened in this sport, it is not stopped. The pandemic didn't stop it. 9/11 didn't stop it. Desert Storm didn't stop it. It's not going to stop. So either you're going to get on board or you're going to get left under the board as baseball continues to move forward. Okay, that was an extension of the good, the bad, and the ugly. I got a little bit more good because I was going to talk about this in the last episode, but of course I was out, so I apologize for that. But I want to give a lot of love to Bo Bichette, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., and Matt Chapman for being at that time, they were 3 of the top 5 batters in the American League, all on one team. And Vladimir Guerrero Jr., of course, he was my MVP choice for the American League. He is beginning to mash the ball out of the park. And for the Blue Jays to have all of that going on and still only be in third place as of tape time is it's kind of unacceptable, because the Blue Jays have a run differential of -1, but they're 14-9 as of tape time and going into Tuesday's play. That's okay. And Kevin Gausman, for them, he pitched a jewel against the Yankees, and I want to say it was the season finale or the series finale this past Sunday in the Bronx. So they've got Gausman, they've got I forgot the kid's name. Oh my gosh, but they've got Barrios from the Twins. They're gonna have to make a move, in my opinion, at the deadline for their rotation, but because their bats are really like second to none of any other lineup basically in the American League, if not all of the majors. So that's good. That the fact that is really, really good. But then let's talk a little bit about the American League East and how good they have been. And shout out to my girl Melissa Monto. She, of course, is a crazy diehard Boston Red Sox fan. She's been on the show a few times. I asked her to come on for this episode, but she had a previous engagement. Let's give some love to the Boston Red Sox. I mean, even though they lost to the Orioles and Chris Sale dropped a decision on Monday, the Red Sox, the Yankees, the Blue Jays, the Orioles, and the Tampa Bay Rays, all 5 of those teams, ladies and gentlemen, are at 500 or better coming into Tuesday's play. Coming into the week's play, they were all above 500. That's really good. And on top of that, we know what Tampa Bay has done all year, right? Tampa Bay, of course, has not lost a series all year. The Yankees, when they lost to the Blue Jays, that was the first series that they had lost all year. And the Baltimore Orioles have won 9 of their last 10, including 7 in a row, and are now in a series, or as of tape time, are in a series against those Boston Red Sox. Like I said, they took game 1 in which they hung a few runs on Chris Sale. I actually asked Melissa and her people over there at Sox Addict Sox, and also the guys at the Pesky Pole podcast. Make sure y'all check them out. I asked them, were they buying the sale? And they were like, you mean the sale of the team? I said, no, not the sale of the team. Are you buying the fact that Chris Sale is back? And Chris Sale, I mean, he didn't his performance on Monday wasn't horrible. They did have the lead, but it's not the Chris Sale that first come over to the Red Sox when he was beating up water coolers in Chicago and ripping jerseys and all that kind of stuff. Now, Melissa has told me that Chris Sale is very hard on himself. So I'm not, and I'm actually a Chris Sale fan. I love that dude's delivery. When he was on, he was one of the more unhittable pitchers in the American League. And I'm really hoping that he does get back. But the American League East and how good they have been, obviously, and I tweeted this at Shakeback Media Group, I don't know, it must have been one day over the weekend, that the AL East with hashtag Raise Up, hashtag Birdland, hashtag Next Level, hashtag RepBX, hashtag Dirty Water, that division is the best division in baseball. And I'm pretty sure when we get to the power rankings in the next segment, you're going to hear some of those teams repeated. Okay, we got a couple minutes left to go in this second segment. Again, thank you guys out there for checking me out on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and of course, Twitter. Man, this segment is flying right along. But I want to look back to Jackie Robinson Day, and of course, that was April 15th. Every player, manager, staff member, ball boy, coach, rabbit, duck, cat, dog, mammal, amphibian, everybody involved in a major league franchise got an opportunity to wear the number 42. And of course, we know the number 42 was retired by Major League Baseball a few years ago. I want to say the last person or the last player to actually wear it was Mariano Rivera, the esteemed closer for the New York Yankees. But 42 day all around Major League Baseball was simply magnificent. You had a lot of great games, and everything that Jackie Robinson meant to the game of baseball and to life itself will never be valued enough, in my opinion. And let me just say this, because I believe in keeping it a buck. All right. And if you don't know what keeping it a buck means keeping it 100. And if you don't know what keeping it 100 means, that means keeping it all the way real. So I'm going to keep it all the way real. People, there are people out there still that wish that Jackie Robinson would have never been able to break the color barrier in 2023. And I don't know them personally. Maybe I do, and they hide it very well. I don't really know, and I don't really care. But what I am saying is there are people out there that still wish that Jackie Robinson would have never broken the color barrier. That's crazy in 2023. All right, guys, come on back on the other side of the break. We're going to get to the power rankings. Thank you guys again for checking me out on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, and of course, Twitter. Come on back on the other side, man. Hashtag Brothers of Baseball Show, Big Game Christian Sports Network. Man, we'll be right back in just a few moments.